Hello, hello. You are watching the only show that brings you the source code. That is SAUCE, sauce. We bring you the sauce as always. And this is day 93 of back to back bringing you the sauce, as if it was Christmas all day round, all year round, basically. And we have a special guest who's giving you the gifts, but it's not Santa Claus. It is better. Leon Andersen, how are you doing?
Hello, hello. I'm doing great. We had a great game today. We scored and we got the source code implemented into the kitchen. We had some awesome dinner with some saucy salt, and we're getting that knowledge on GitHub. So let's dive into it. So yeah, basically, GitHub is, as we already started with the Git topics, basically a cloud-based Git file. No, what was it called? Version control system. But it's not only version control in the cloud, but it's also collaboration tool. And yeah, what I learned today, I finished that course on Git and GitHub, and what I learned today was basically about setting it up, like connecting the local Git and the GitHub with some different commands can be used. Not 100% sure about the difference between them, but for example, if you use git push to a certain remote URL, you might get an error, and then you can write the same URL again with a username at GitHub, like in front of the GitHub repository link, basically, and then you get like in the tutorial, you got a password field opening in VS Code. Didn't get that, but I got basically just a GitHub authentication link opening in my browser, and I just signed in there. What is SSH?
So SSH is a different way to authenticate with GitHub, and that's something that you're probably also going to learn. So let's just look at a random what is an open source repository. Let's look at React. So if we look at React on GitHub, if my site loads, it's for some reason slow. So let me use DuckDuckGo, React, GitHub. Oh no, now Google loaded, so let's use Google. So if we put in here React GitHub, and then you go in here, and let's say you want to use that code on your computer, you usually clone it, right? So, and if you click on here, you can use the way that you want to basically clone the repository, and you can do this via HTTPS. But there's also the way to configure this. I think you need to be logged in for that, which I'm not right now. You can also clone the repository via SSH, or you can download the zip file here. So there are different ways that you can basically authenticate with GitHub to tell GitHub, hey, I am who I claim to be, and to then download stuff and clone repositories and stuff like that.
But what is SSH?
So SSH is a way to authenticate with your basically to prove who you are, like just a way of authentication.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I got that, but like, what's the difference between that and like what kinds of forms of authentication, or isn't that?
Oh, okay, got it. So with SSH, you locally save a key value pair. Basically, SSH stands for Secure Shell, and it gives you remote access, or it can be used to give you remote access, for example, via a VPN or something, to a different computer. And the way that you do that is you basically set up a key and secret pair locally, and then you can use that to authenticate yourself. GitHub has many good documentation on that. So if you, for example, look for connecting to GitHub with SSH, it tells you how you can generate your keys, how you can connect. Here, for example, here's how you generate new SSH keys that are only locally, how you then tell GitHub about your public key, and then you can use SSH to authenticate with GitHub. And I would always recommend this way of authenticating yourself with GitHub over the usual password way, because this is kind of the most hacker open source way, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
Because it's cool. No, probably because it's also safer.
I mean, both ways are safe, but yeah, this is the cooler way, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, so and then I just signed in with email. It's uncool. But my source of my source code is still over the top enough that I'm not that I'm still part of the cool hacker club, even as a beginner. And basically, then we looked at the different ways of how Git and GitHub can interact. If you want to load your GitHub, your Git repository into GitHub, you can use a push command from your local Git. And if you want to get the gets code from your GitHub to your Git, you can use a pull command, which is not the same as a pull request. This is something for collaboration. And what I didn't fully how GitHub knows. No. If you want to push your local repository, you have to create a new repository on GitHub and then use that GitHub link to push to, basically. And this way you make sure that you are pushing it to the right repository. Then what was next? Basically,
just one thing that I want to add is basically if you create a new repository on GitHub, then you GitHub basically tells you exactly the steps that you need to do. Either if you already have an existing repository, then you need to drop these commands into your terminal to push your local code to it. Or if you don't even have initialized a Git repository yet, then you want to run these commands, and that will basically push your code up into GitHub. And also here, it also allows you to either authenticate via HTTPS or SSH. Same thing that we talked about earlier.
Awesome. That's good to know. Just as you were showing this, I saw that it creates it goes to the main branch, but for some reason I got per default in my IDE I'm using VS Codium. I got a master. My branch was called master, my main branch. And I don't know why.
So this is a very, I want to say, controversial topic in the developer community, because master was basically the thing that was used for ages, but as people became more aware of like the struggles of different ethnic groups, people had the feeling that master would remind people too much of a master and slave dynamic. So over the recent years, the convention has shifted away from master to something that is more neutral and less historically, let's say, baggaged than master, to just main, because it has basically the same meaning, but it's considered by many people less offensive.
That's interesting. Okay. Well, do you know how I can? I mean, I'll figure it out on my own at first. If I can change the default behavior of Codium, but pro tip: your main branch should be named main. Yes. So that's one thing. I will have a look if I can change it somehow. If not, but there's another thing I already tried to change, which was not possible, which weren't possible, and that is in my integrated terminal. I see the full damn file path before each line. So it's like long as file path, and then I can, at the end of that line, I can start typing. So my commands are always like broken into two halves when they're like, because they're always split over two lines. And I didn't find a damn I have an earworm now. Damn thing if it ain't go up. But I didn't find a damn setting where I can make the terminal. I don't know how to terminal line shorter.
Got it. Okay, so I will post you this code in our DMs. But what you're seeing here is basically code for your ZSH or bash config. So depending on what type of shell you use, you need to figure that out. And these commands probably are not going to work on the regular Windows shell. So you need to use the bash shell. I think it's PowerShell, or the ZSH shell, which is the default on Mac, for these commands to work. But you can find the equivalent using, for example, ChatGPT or something for Windows too. The main thing here is these are some the commands that I'm basically rocking locally, and what they are doing is they are only showing, so they're changing the default message in your terminal, so that it only shows the current branch that you're on and not your full file path and stuff. And also this one right here is also setting a new random emoji on your terminal every time you open it, which I have stolen from Can't See Dots. Yeah, so if you are watching the stream and you're curious, I'm just going to pause it real quick so you can take a screenshot of these. But you can also just look up Can't See Dots dot files. So let me show that on stream too real quick. So you can look up Can't See Dots, that's this guy, and then you look for dot files. And he has here on GitHub his dot files, basically his configuration. And there you can find, for example, his Vim settings. You can find his ZSHRC settings, which are similar to the ones that I've shown on stream. And this code right here, basically, this Git branch code, is basically telling the terminal, hey, only show the current branch that I'm in, don't show the whole file and stuff. Yeah, I just highly recommend at some point to take some time and tweak the terminal however you want to, so it looks nice for you.
What is the use of the emoji?
I just like seeing emojis.
At first, I thought it might be like a unique identifier, so you might have a better visual cues where which command was done after another, or is it really just random visual?
Yeah, it's a random visual emoji, but I'm quite certain that if I see a unicorn in my terminal, then my code will get 10% better, and I'm just going for any improvement that I can get.
Damn. I don't see a damn thing if it ain't a unicorn. So, yeah, okay. I'll check that out. Thank you. And well, then after that, we looked in the course. We looked at what if I want to collaborate.
This course is, by the way, Leon is talking about this course on Git, which is, if you've missed the past few streams, the thing that he's been working on now before jumping next, probably to Next.js.
Exactly. So if someone wants to collaborate, or if you would want to collaborate on some other code, you could either write an issue in GitHub and then describe your idea and basically request an approval to be a collaborator. And this is highly unlikely though, because yeah, it doesn't make sense to trust us even if they have a good two more streamers, if they have good ideas. Even then, there could be some abuse happening. However, there are some mechanisms built in, for example, that they can only push to or work on certain branches, or on just new branches that they can create. But I guess there are some spamming problems, or spamming risk and stuff like that. So the easier or better way is to fork your code and basically build what you would want to request, build it there, and then basically do something called a pull request, where you request the oh no, I'm not sure if it's a pull request there as well, or if it's a merge request if you already pushed it to the to your fork. If you work with a fork, is this do you make merge requests or pull requests from forks?
So this is complicated terminology, because in GitHub it's always named a pull request. So yeah, basically it's just in GitHub they always call it a pull request, even though technically speaking it's wrong.
Got it. Because there is a certain situation where it's actually a pull, where you request the owner of the source code to pull from your Git to merge. Not sure if is best learned by. Yes, exactly. Um, um, and where was I? Distracted by your jokes on the screen.
Sorry, I'm trying to show the stuff on stream as always that you're talking about. So feel free to just stay in flow and trust that the visuals will match up with your speak.
Got it,
Your
got it.
speech.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess that's already it. You just need to know that you can merge with other people, with other people's forks, and with other people's like approved, like when you approve other people to fulfill how's it called, an issue. And then, oh yeah, that's the beautiful thing, that you can see visually the differences, and you can change or approve the changes there. And then I guess it's only changed on GitHub, and then the owner still has to, if he or she accepted the request, they still have to pull it to their local Git, as far as I understand. And do we always have to, like, are there ways to automate this, or do we always have to work with the Git pull, like this kind of like double accounting?
Yeah, of course. You always have to pull and push. There's no way to automate this, which is a good thing. You do not want someone remote to have control over your files, because let's say for some reason someone made a pull request and they added in some malicious software, right? It can be a good thing that maybe your coworker discovers this and is like, hey guys, don't pull. Someone infiltrated our code. We need to eradicate this new commit before we can safely pull again, right? So it's very good that humans are in control whether they want to pull or not.
But what about with a private repository that you're only pushing to? Like, can you do like push, or?
Well, even there, being mindful about when you pull and push can also prevent severe accidents. So,
Okay.
for example, what I've seen before, so there is something that is called push protection, which you can activate in your repository. I guess I can show it to you. So I can go here to my fork, go to my repositories, and then I take React, which is now a better version of React because we added a very important commit that added some wisdom here. And if I want to make sure that you can only push to this repository, you can only make changes to this via pull requests, then you have a lot of rules here that you can set. So for example, on this branch, I can add branch protection rules. And for example, I can make, hey, this must be a pull request, or all the commits need to be signed, signed basically with hashes, or the history needs to be linear, or force pushes if you want to allow them.
I sent you an important message. 1 second.
Both better, right?
Exactly.
But so basically, if you want to push them, if you want to prevent force pushes, it's activated by default, but you can allow them. So basically, a force push circumvents all of the protections that you have. And what could happen is, for example, let's say you work in a company, you're on a private Git repository, so technically no one could do anything malicious, but maybe your coworker got fired and now they're super pissed. And now they, for some reason, you haven't protected against force pushes, and they force push an empty repository where there are basically all of the commits are deleted, and he just overwrites it. And if the pulls would be automatic, as soon as you open your computer, you would get all of your code would basically be deleted, and even all of the history of it. So by having still the blockade in there, like the basically the boundary that you need to pull consciously, that prevents errors like that.
Got it. And but I mean, for the case where you're just using GitHub for your private repository where only you are working on, like where you're basically just using it as a backup, does it like is it still just so so helpful to be mindful about when you push and when not?
Well, if you're working on something alone with no collaboration, but you still want to back up your code in GitHub, then you don't necessarily need pull requests, because you could just always commit locally, push, commit locally, push without ever changing away from the main branch.
Something like auto push, like having your files automatically synced to GitHub.
I've never heard of anyone doing that, but I mean, you could also write that on your own. Like you could create probably, and maybe you will likely find maybe open source software that does that if you really want to do it. But I would advise against this.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, you're already auto saving, or you can already auto save locally. For example, in VS Code, and then you can just be mindful with pushing at the end of the workday or something. Should be safe enough, I guess.
Yes.
And what do you say about auto saving in VS Code, for example? Is that a good idea, bad idea?
I always save anyways, so that my linter already fixes my code, and that my tests run after every time I change my file, so I know that everything is working. So I always have autosave on and hit save reflexively too. So I save constantly.
Got it. So this is not prone to like conflicts with Git or anything?
No, the conflicts happen when you commit.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. I don't know. Did I get through the most important stuff, or is there anything that I forgot?
I think you did great. I think this was a good summary of Git, which is important to know, but luckily very, very easy to learn. And also you will get lots of exposure, even if the theory right here wasn't enough. You will use that so much in your work as a developer that it will become very natural, very, very fast too. So it's one of those things that I think people that don't or that aren't too familiar about it can relax and just let it happen and look up stuff as you need to.
And like, does it make sense to use it on every project or just on like stuff that you're like serious? I don't know, like.
So I like to use Git, Git on everything and GitHub on 95% of my stuff, because I like having a backup in GitHub. So let's say someone pours water over my computer, maybe myself, because I knocked something over. I always have stuff backed up in the cloud. I just like feeling safe about that.
Got it. And is there a way to, for example, cross-collaborate between GitHub and GitLab?
No. Okay, wait. Maybe there's some hacker who wrote some CI/CD actions, but I think out of the box from both services, no.
Okay. Yeah, I'll ask ChatGPT about that. Cool. Looking forward to trying the emojis in my terminal.
Yeah, check out dot files. Anything else you want to share, epiphanies? What are you gonna look at tomorrow, for example?
That's a good question because tomorrow is Christmas all day with family.
Well, then tomorrow we're gonna do the next application of useref, I think.
That sounds perfect.
Awesome. So in case you have not used React yet or are not too familiar with stuff like useref, check out our past two streams, or I think the last stream was about Git, but the 2 streams before we looked at useref and we looked at the first application of useref, which is to manage focus by manipulating DOM elements directly. And tomorrow then we're going to look at how to set up, for example, intervals in React to build a nice little countdown or something like that. We'll see tomorrow. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, tune in. We stream every day, and you can go all the way back to day 1 even to see that Leon has literally started coding 93 days ago. And you can see his journey day by day, what he learned, and you can compare it to your own journey. Maybe you're already farther, maybe there are gaps in your journey that you can fill that way. Or if you're not as far, maybe this can serve as your inspiration that you can do this too. And the important part is that you code every day, because if you even just 5 minutes every day, if you expose your brain to code, you will naturally pick up coding, and especially languages like JavaScript, just like you picked up the native language that you're speaking, hopefully English if you're watching this. And it will just be very easy for you to talk to machines, which is one of the most important skills to have in this day and age. And if you're watching the recording, say thank you for watching. Why don't you join us live? If you have questions, we always answer them in the comments directly. So thanks everyone for tuning in. This has been day 93 of at least 100 days of code with
Andersen Leon and Mentor Mai.
Nil Aleph, aka Yoda, aka Lord Quack, aka Lord Bonk.
Always be saucing. Until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow, bye.